Saskatoon's business community continues to shine on a number of fronts, and it's widely diversified. Brenda Nowakowski is here to talk a little bit about her past experience as the past CFO for JNE Welding. Brenda, thank you for taking some time, and we'll shed some light on your role with the company and how you got there.
Thanks for having me, Randy.
Talk a little bit about yourself, your history, where you came from, and how you came in to be the role of the CFO for JNE.
A couple of different things, I guess. Saskatoon is home for me. I've only ever left Saskatoon on a brief stint and then came back. It's my community. I consider it home. I started out not believing I was going to be an accountant and then became one, which is kind of interesting. I started in a controller's role with JNE 20 years ago. And I always laugh and I tell people that I walked in the door and act like an entrepreneur from day one. I grew up in a bit of an entrepreneurial family, so that was important for me in terms of that. A little daunting to start with. The role for women in steel fabrication industry is typically sort of in the back corner of a finance office, payables, receivables, those types of things, not necessarily leading the finance role in a steel fabrication company. We're probably one of Saskatchewan's largest full-service steel fabrication companies. So the 20-year journey, I quickly sort of walked out of the controller's role and walked into the CFO role. Had the great fortune of being offered to buy into ownership, and that was back in 2007. And I still am a small owner of JNE Welding, so it's been a really great journey, and again, a great journey for a woman in this industry as well. So,
when you look at the steel industry, I mean, we were talking about mining and some ag work and many different facets. What was one of the challenges with JNE from I guess the slump, if you will, in the recession and coming out of that? There was opportunities to expand. How did that happen for you?
I think one of the most important things for anybody in business is really to develop a sense of resiliency. And that's really what we had to do. I mean, who could have predicted a few years ago when oil and gas went down and potash went down and uranium went down? And those are really big sectors that we serve and have served. And so when all three of them sort of took that downward movement, we really had to retrench, be resilient, be really determined in the markets that we were going to serve, make sure that we were front and center in our customers' minds, deliver on expectations. We talk about excellence in our company, so it isn't just about coming into work every day and building something. It is, more importantly, I think, building our people, building their resiliency, building capabilities in this province, and really talking to our customers about why it's important to deal in Saskatchewan and deal with companies that have bricks and mortar, have an investment in this province, hire people, pay taxes here. Really important.
With the North Saskatoon Business Association, that has attracted you in maybe some ways to other businesses and the role of organizations supporting business. You're a past chair of the organization. What was that like to take that on in a role in a volunteer capacity?
Well, it's daunting. I mean, we work full time, right? And we're busy people, and our industry, our steel industry, was busy. But I think it's important. I think it's important for leaders in this community to plug in to business, not just sort of be that navel gazing and looking at your business only, because I think there's really important issues that we should be dealing with and helping that small business person. So that was one of the roles that I could play, was to be on the board of the NSBA. I'm still on a few of the committees. I was chair and past chair. But it's important when you look at the aspects of labor and changes in the labor field and legislation, when you look at taxation, when you look at the city budget, when you look at all those kinds of things. For me, it was important as a leader to be involved in that, in understanding it and helping other businesses understand it, and navigate some of those waters, do the best thing we can, again, for the community.
When you see business leaders coming to the table, your volunteer role, if you want to wear that hat, if you will, has branched out into other organizations in the city, and you mentioned Huntington's as well. Can you touch on some of those other aspects of business?
Well, again, like I said, I think it's important to support our community and be involved in our community. I've been involved with United Way's Summer Success Program, the reading program. That was important. Children are important. I am the past chair for the National Huntington Society of Canada, based out of Waterloo. It's a health charity. It's touched my family, deeply impacted. I've lost a lot of my family to the disease. So again, it was important for me to step up in a volunteer capacity and do what I could on that front. My husband Jim and I, he's the founder of JNE. Community is really important to us. So whether it's being involved with a Friendship Inn or Read Saskatoon or NSBA or any of the charity type of work, that is volunteerism. This province is known for that. This city is known for that. It's important to us. I think it's important to leaders to get involved.
So I'm just going to ask you about your role in terms of crunching numbers all the time, because sometimes it's not always about numbers. It's you mentioned people and investing in people and letting them grow. What do you see with small business as getting their staff and their families involved in business and entrepreneurial efforts to nurture that as they go forward with their ideas?
Yeah, that's important. We try and do as much of that in JNE as we possibly can. There are peoples that get a little bit and companies that get a little reticent about that. They go, oh, if I invest and they leave, then my money walks out the door. I think that your money walks out the door if you don't invest in your people and have them be a real integral part of an organization. And I think when your people are at their happiest, they perform their best. And I talk again about excellence, and that really for us inside of our company, excellence started with our people, how they felt, how they performed every day, how they showed up. And their families waiting for them when they go home, that's a huge support system. So we don't just have them 9 to 5. You really have an employee 24 hours a day. You don't see them those 24 hours, but we're invested in helping and take care of them and helping children grow. It's about families. It isn't just that employee that shows up every day.
When you look at the way that the company has evolved over time, and technology's changing and equipment changes, adapting and retooling, if you will, for new types of projects that maybe weren't around 20 years ago, is Saskatchewan behind, or are we kind of leaders in some fields on that national stage? I would imagine you're competing for tenders and projects elsewhere against other good quality businesses as well. How do you come out on top?
Absolutely. And for us, it wasn't so much evolution in technology. What the type of work that we did was really hands-on. It isn't sort of stick it in a piece of equipment and let it go. So the advancement for us was really in the skills of our people and making sure that we had people trained to the highest capability that we could. Certainly technology changes. We don't count on abacus anymore, right? It's in software, it's in project management that you look for some of those technological edges. Can I manage a project well? Can I deliver on schedule? What does schedule look like? How do I optimize schedule? So you're using software for some of those kinds of things in that technology. But again, I think some of it goes back to the people and making sure that you're training and you've got top notch, and it isn't education from 20 years ago. And if I might even go farther than that, it was our company staying in line with Sask Poly and the SIIT
Great.
to say, these are the skill sets that we need. How do we help you train? How do we make sure that the people coming out of these institutions now are coming out with a skill set that's relevant in the industry that we need today? So that was really, really important. Safety, wow. If you think, you and I we're not 10 anymore. When you think 20 years ago what safety looked like in this province, and now what the safety standards are and the level of safety training, again, that's been an evolution in understanding, in training, in certifications, and making sure that people and companies are equipped.
I agree that everyone has to, put their shoulder to the harness and pull their own weight and be educated. I know there was concerns about the cannabis legislation. We've had guests on the show talking about the level of impairment and showing up for work and being responsible that way. But I commend the businesses like yourself that are accommodating and doing things for people. What do you see with a labor pool moving forward for your business and in Saskatchewan in general? We are a young province. Do you see a lot of opportunities for people to stay here like yourself and contribute over the years as you have?
Absolutely. I mean, you think about our company and the succession planning that we're doing and have done. There's so many businesses, companies like ours that will be going through those stages of succession planning. I think there's tremendous opportunity yet in this province. I think that we've got a labor pool, unfortunately, that is not developed as much as it could and should be, and I think that's in our Indigenous population. Again, I think there's companies like ours and other companies that really have to be adamant and be voices to make sure that we're not just creating opportunities for laborers, but we're creating opportunities for Indigenous people to be in roles like CFOs, like entrepreneurs of companies, and really talk about economic development and education. So I think there's tremendous opportunity yet in this province.
I think that's a great message to close out on, and I want to thank you and Jim for the work that you've done and contributed back to Saskatoon and the province. And JNE is just a shining example of that. Thank you for your role and past role as a CFO, and all of your volunteerism in the city is much appreciated. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Randy.
You're watching Connect. Stay with us. We'll be right back.